Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Jim Reads Too Slow. I'm Jim, and it's been probably about 3 weeks since my last video, so I figured I better catch up a little bit. I've been kind of lethargic. Summer is in full swing here. It's been really warm, really humid. At this, as I record this, it's 97 degrees here, 97 degrees Fahrenheit, 7 p.m. Here in the heartland. It's sticky, I would say. I've just kind of moved from shade to shade and air conditioned spot to air conditioned spot throughout this part of the year. So anyway, today I'd like to just real briefly talk about my July reading and some of my reading plans for this month that is just underway, August. So first of all, I finished 4 books during the past few weeks, starting off with Gene Wolfe's Citadel of the Autark, this edition here, book 4 in his Book of the New Sun series. And I really enjoyed this book, the whole series also, for that matter. Although there is yet one book left, I guess it's a sequel, so I don't know if you would consider it part of the series or not. But this is a story of Severian, who is trained from childhood as a torturer on an Urth spelled Urth, whose son is dying. It's a red giant, and the people are hoping for a new son that will bring with it a restoration. So Severian is pushed into what becomes kind of a hero's journey, becoming a better man, ultimately kind of a messianic figure. And he's telling his story from a time in the future where he has become the Autarch, or the ruler of at least a large part of the earth. His life course is guided by extraterrestrials to some extent, while at the same time he's the target of supernatural creatures, forces here on Earth. As he makes his way through life, he has sex with just about every woman that he stops to have a conversation with. He dies, quite possibly, several times, and is either resurrected or replaced by a Severian from another timeline. There's some time travel, dimensional travel, and then again, I could be totally wrong about that. Wolfe's style is to omit a lot of the explanations as you go through the book, and then just kind of ramp up the story right towards the end with this, just dumping all of this information on the reader and leaving you just kind of dazed, your head spinning. You're wondering, what did I just read? I think when you finally do finish the series, you're meant more to have a real feeling of accomplishment as a reader. And I don't want to say rather than knowing what's happened, but maybe apart from understanding everything that's happened in the story, everything that's going on. I think you're just supposed to feel good about yourself as a major part of the reading experience. It's just so packed. These books are so packed with little puzzles, details, allusions to other stories, other authors. You're going to either catch as you read or have to find out about it as you read. And so by the time you're finished, you have a lot more knowledge of other stories than you did at the beginning. And Wolfe is not particularly, he's not trying to hide what he's doing. One of my fellow Voxer group readers said that he thought that there was a kind of deus ex machina to this story. And I think that's clear. Wolfe even has one of his characters say that that's what's going on. And I'll just read just a short clip from that. This is later in the Citadel of the Autark, in the chapter called The Corridors of Time. And one of the characters in the story says, let's see here, we're almost what you think, powers from above the stage, only not quite deities. You are an actor, I believe. A couple of paragraphs down, he says, as an actor, Severian, you surely know the phrase I hinted at a moment ago. It refers to some supernatural force personified and brought onto the stage in the last act in order that the play may end well. None but poor playwrights do it, they say. But those who say so forget that it is better to have a power lowered on a rope and a play that ends well than to have nothing and a play that ends badly. Here is our rope, many ropes, and a stout ship too. Will you come aboard? So there you have it. Wolfe is saying, so this is what I'm doing. Join me. So yeah, I finished the 4 novels in the Book of the New Sun. The last one being, as I said, the Citadel of the Autark, and I have begun this 5th book, Urth of the New Sun. So I'll be reading that here in August. So August also is month 3 of the Summer of Snopes. We're reading The Village, The Town, and the Mansion by William Faulkner. They're the Snopes trilogy. I finished The Town during the last couple of weeks. So 2 down and 1 to go. Now, so far, it's been the story of the rise of Flem Snopes from just absolute dirt poor nothing to bank president, church deacon, respectable member of the community of Jefferson, Mississippi. Sure, we see how, repugnant he is. We see the warts, the blemishes, his amorality, his downright dishonesty. A lot has been made about the last chapter in this book, but the way I read the story so far is that this clan of what we might call garbage people today, it's made up of many subtle layers. It's kind of a continuum that includes people who at one end may just be doofuses or good, honest people. And then as it goes along, we see the amorality just rise and then give way to immorality, absolute evil. And then ultimately, the Snopes end product, these 4 kids who appear in the last chapter, who are just forces of destruction, the ultimate evolution of the Snopes. And Flem, he manages over the course of at least these 2 books to rise above all of that. And by the end of The Town, he's what we might refer to as a great American success story. They say you don't want to see how the sausage is made. Well, we have. So now I've finished that and started The Mansion, which is book 3 in the Snopes trilogy, and we'll see how that goes. I also finished my reread of Persuasion, my Austen in July reading. I really liked the book. It's a story of getting a second chance with the one who got away. Both the girl, Anne, who spent 9 years thinking about it, and the guy, Captain Wentworth, coming to terms with his hurt feelings, while at the same time, there's this storm of other people and other relationships and conflicting hopes and dreams that are swirling around them. Will they manage to work it out? Persuasion was a chance for me to kind of slow down a little bit, relax in my reading. I think I really like the book. It's a good one, and I might stick with Austen during August and read Northanger Abbey. This is my wife's copy, Barnes and Noble edition of Northanger Abbey. It's the one Austen, one of her major novels that she has not read. So we'll go over that one together and see how that works out. I also did watch the Netflix adaptation of Persuasion as well. I wasn't all that impressed, but then I'm not a 12-year-old girl. So my advice, if you haven't seen it yet and you are going to see it, is to go into it not even thinking of Jane Austen's novel Persuasion. Think of it as a totally unrelated movie. And then as you watch it during several points, you will be able to think to yourself, it's kind of like they're really ripping off Jane Austen here. You know, how unoriginal is that? So that was my Austen in July reading. And finally, we come to Where the Crawdads Sing. Okay, you get it. By Delia Owens. It's now a major motion picture. You will find people on the internet who love this book, and you will find people who hate it. I think mediocre would probably be where I fall, my description of it. I read it. It seemed to me a lot like what the novelization of a Lifetime movie might be. It's shallow and cliched in a lot of it. But, I got into it a little as well, here and there. Like I said once before, I can suspend disbelief with some real crap. It's the story of a girl who lives in a North Carolina swamp. She's 6 or so when she's abandoned by much of her immediate family, except for her abusive alcoholic father. And he's not around all that much. So she's 6 and she's on her own, but she knows the swamp. And so she doesn't get killed by anything that would, probably kill any other 6-year-old wandering around in a swamp. And so this is the story of how she manages basically to raise herself. She has only 1 day of schooling, but there's another kid who fishes in the swamp who teaches her how to read. And so she becomes a celebrated author and naturalist, of course. There's also a murder trial in all of that and some romance. I read this book as part of my family reading group. It was my sister's selection. She loves it. My daughter read it and she loves it. But my wife has read it and she hasn't said what she thought of it, but I think, she thought it was okay-ish. My mother is still reading it. My son thought it sucked and DNF'd it, probably in the mid-20s, chapter-wise. So we're moving on to my son's selection, which is going to be the Tartar Steppe by Dino Buzzati. That'll be our August selection, our August reading. So I don't know anything about it. If any of you have read the Tartar Steppe, let me know what I'm in for. So to recap, in August, I'll be reading Urth of the New Sun, The Mansion by William Faulkner, or Urth of the New Sun by Gene Wolfe, of course. The Mansion by William Faulkner, Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen, The Tartar Steppe by Dino Buzzati, and who knows, what else I might get myself into. So that's all I have for now. I hope your reading is going well. I hope you're staying cool this summer. And until next time, have a good one.